Good morning, everyone, especially to Mom to Loving. My name is Shirley Jane Wano, and I'll be your discussant for today. The topic I'll be presenting is People First Language. So this topic is very important because the words we use can shape how we see others and how they see themselves. People First Language reminds us to put the person before the label, showing respect and recognizing individuality beyond any condition, disability, or difference. So these are my objectives. So at the end of the lesson, students will be able to explain why people first language shows respect and dignity towards individuals, identify examples of people first and non-people first language, and third is practice using people first language in everyday conversations. Now, what is people first language? This language trends involve putting the person first, not the disability. Example, a person with a disability, not a disabled person. Thus, people first language tells us what conditions people have, not what they are. Skiffle-Butch Institute 1996. This is similar to saying a person with AIDS rather than AIDS victim. Now, what is people first language? So people are not defined by a disability, illness, or condition. Instead, those characteristics are just one aspect of who they are. For example, instead of saying a disabled person, people first language would say a person with disability. Instead of an autistic child, it would be a child with autism. Instead of an AIDS victim, it would be a person with AIDS. The reasoning behind it is respect. It avoids labeling someone solely by their condition, which can feel reductive or stigmatizing, and highlights that they are a whole person first, who happens to have a disability or illness. In short, people first language shifts from what they are to what they have. So we have other suggestions for referring to those with disabilities include avoiding generic labels, emphasizing abilities, not limitations, avoiding euphemisms, and avoiding implying illness or suffering. First is the avoiding generic labels. People with mental retardation is preferable to the mentally retarded. Avoiding generic labels means using specific and descriptive terms instead of vague, overused, or potentially offensive words to describe people, things, or situations. For example, referring to people with disabilities instead of euphemisms like physically challenged, one should say a person who uses a wheelchair. Second is emphasizing abilities, not limitations. For instance, who uses a wheelchair is preferable to confine to a wheelchair. Emphasizing abilities, not limitations. We focus on what someone can do rather than what they can't do. Instead of defining a person by challenges or restrictions, we highlight their skills, strengths, and contributions. Instead of saying confined to a wheelchair, people first language would say uses a wheelchair, which shows mobility and independence, not restrictions. Instead of mentally retarded, an outdated offensive term, we say a person with an intellectual disability instead of focusing on deficits like can't speak. You might say uses nonverbal communication. Third is avoiding euphemisms, such as physically challenged, which are regarded as condescending and avoid the real issues that result from a disability. Avoiding euphemisms. Some people, in an effort to soften or avoid discomfort, use euphemisms. for disability like differently able, or special needs, or handicapable. While this may sound polite, they can actually come across as awkward, patronizing, or dismissive of real experiences. Instead of special needs child, say child with a disability. Instead of handicapable, say person with a disability. Instead of physically challenged, say person with a mobility impairment. The last one is avoiding implying illness or suffering. Had polio is preferable to is a polio victim, and has multiple sclerosis is preferable to suffers from multiple sclerosis. Department of Physical Medicine and Rehabilitation, 2000, Skilled for Births Institute, 1996. Avoiding implying illness or suffering. Use people-first language by stating the condition in neutral terms and focusing on the person's actions or extensions, not their condition, instead of phrases like is a victim of polio or suffers from multiple sclerosis. Use had polio or has multiple sclerosis to describe a past or present fact, not a perpetual state of suffering. Using people-first language and applying the guidelines above will remind you to have a more respectful and accepting attitude toward learners with exceptionalities. Means that when you use people-first language along with the guidelines of emphasizing abilities, not limitations, and avoiding euphemisms, it naturally encourages you to treat students with exceptionalities in a more respectful, inclusive, and accepting way. Second bullet, the presence of impairments requires them to exert more effort to do things that others like us find quite easy to do. They are learners who may turn to you for assistance. And yes, this pointing out the reality that learners with exceptionalities often face extra challenges because of their impairment. Example, students with a hearing impairment may need to concentrate harder to follow spoken instructions. What feels simple or automatic for most learners might take more energy, strategies, or support for them. That's why the statement says this may turn to you for assistance. As a teacher or peer, you might be the one who provides help, whether that's explaining instructions in a clear way, adjusting materials, offering encouragement, or simply being patient. The last bullet is the beginning with the right attitude, one of compassion, not of pity nor ridicule. Will make you a more effective teacher, one with the hand and the heart who can facilitate their learning and adjustment. This statement is about the mindset teachers should have when working with learners who have exceptionalities. Will make you a more effective teacher. When you show a genuine care, students feel valued and safe, which motivates them to learn. If a teacher starts with compassion rather than pity or ridicule and balances skill with kindness, they can truly support students with exceptionalities in both learning and personal growth. And that's all my topic for today, Ma'am Tulabing. And thank you so much, students. Bye!